way. Whew, okay. I actually really don't like sitting through talks because it reminds me of being in school. Oh, thank you. And so I like to give people things to look at so that they don't have to be so bored. And that's why I'm wearing these moon shoes, is so that you can at least focus on the fact that I can't stand properly, and maybe that'll keep you more entertained than if I'm just pacing back and forth. I have only worn these for about 20 minutes, as you can probably tell. They didn't give me enough rubber bands, so I'm wearing about enough rubber bands for a 100-pound child. So they might give way. I already lost one, so we'll see. All right, whew. So I'm Meg Lewis. This talk is not about my work at all, but I thought I would show it to you. So that way you can quickly judge me and decide, oh, she's crap. I'm just gonna look at my phone the rest of the time. Or you can say, oh, okay, it's fine. I'll keep listening and see what happens. I founded a company called Ghostly Friends. We are I'm gonna keep moving. We are a collective of designers and commercial artists. We're based here, we're based in New York, and our fourth member is currently moving to the UK. So we're kind of all over the place. But really, we're just a group of best friends who likes to work together as often as possible. We'll talk more about that later. Moving on. I also co-founded a space in Minneapolis called Foolproof. We are located in Northeast. We are a shared workspace for a group of friends. So we're a small space, a small group of about 15 friends who work together every day. And then we also host events. So you can see some of our workshops recently right over there. Pretty cool. So if you want to go to thisisfoolproof.com to see what workshops we have coming up, please do so. Ooh, hey buddies. So just a few months ago, I started a group called the Buddy League. We are a social group for friends. So I moved to Minneapolis about a year and a half ago. And I had the hardest time making friends here. I moved here from New York, which is a super social city, as you all know. And Minneapolis is exactly the opposite of that. And that's why I moved here, actually. I moved here because I wanted something that was totally different from New York. I am from Kansas City originally, so I have like a Midwesterner at heart, and New Yorkers were too cold for me. But the good thing is that I learned how to tell people what I want in New York, which was really great. So I moved here, and I was like, great, can't wait to meet everyone, can't wait to socialize all the time. And I got coffee with people and drinks with people, and then I would just kind of never hear from them again, and it was really sad. And I realized, oh, okay, people really like what they have here, which I think is really special and amazing. Everyone's really content with the lives that they have. They have awesome friends, they have a wonderful home, and people love that here. That's the culture here, is to be happy with what you have, and I think that's really beautiful. But as a new person, that was really hard for me because everyone loved what they already had so much, and so no one wanted to make room for me. And I started talking to more people about it and realized that a lot of people want what I want, which is to make new friends with people that have things in common with them. So I started a social group called the Buddy League, which is a creative group of entrepreneurs and creatives in the Twin Cities area. We have a Slack group right now, but we also hang out like friends do. So we do things that friends would do. Rather than networking events and community events, we actually just hang out with each other. So we'll like go to breweries together and hang out, and we'll just on the fly hang out with each other. We have a wonderful group of buddies here in the front row. Thank you for being here. I love you. So we have a wait list right now to get into the Buddy League. We have, I'd say about hey. It's a wait list because I have to manually let everyone in, and sometimes I forget to look at the wait list and let people in. We have about 150 people in the group right now, but literally everyone is welcome to join. That's the beauty of the group, is that it's for everyone. So go over to thebuddyleague.com and you can register to be put on the wait list, which I will let you in eventually. Woo! All right. Oh yeah, what is this talk about? This talk is about the most courageous thing I've ever done. Courage is the theme this month, and I want to tell you all about the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, which is to actually be myself. And I've noticed that I'm not the person that the world wants me to be. I'm really different than everyone else in the world, and that's been really hard for me to deal with my whole life. And so this talk is all about how I found the courage to actually come out and do that. All right, so I think in order to get started, we have to go way back to my childhood. I grew up in the 80s and in the 90s on a lot of pop culture, which I'm sure a lot of you did as well in one way or another. So these are my heroes. These were my childhood heroes when I was growing up. These were the people that I actually looked to and thought, I want to be them when I grow up. So I think you can kind of see a theme of the types of people that I liked. So we have Pee Wee Herman, Mr. Bean. I'm Mr. Bean's #1 fan. Kel Mitchell and Lucille Ball. Those were my heroes. Those were the people that I wanted to be when I grew up. And I think looking back at it now, those people were exaggerated versions of everyday humans. And I think that when I was a kid, I would look to actual real adults and think, oh my gosh, they're so boring. The things that they care about are so boring. The things that they're worried about and upset about were so boring to me. I just wanted to be like those people who were exaggerated versions of the adults that I was seeing every day. And so whenever I grew up, I became just that. I became an exaggerated version of a 6, 8, 10, 12-year-old girl. So these are not everyday outfits. Hold on. These are costumes, Halloween costumes. On the left, I'm not sure what I was going as. We didn't have a Halloween costume budget when I was a kid, so I would pull things out of my parents in my closet and put together outfits. I don't know, I think that looks like Al Borland. Maybe that's what I was trying to be that year. Over there, we have some sort of round old man that I was that year. Who knows? But you know, all of the other kids in school were always laughing at my costumes and like, why are you wearing that? Why aren't you wearing a normal costume? And it was really hard to explain to them that we didn't have enough money to buy regular costumes, or that I just wasn't interested in being a standard issue costume. So whenever I was a kid, I really, really just wanted to be like a lot of the kids that I was seeing in videos and on TV. And okay, so this is my favorite kid, and this is the kid that I wanted to be when I was younger.
When I'm with friends, I like to have fun. I like to sing, dance, pretend, and kazoo.
Oh my gosh, I just love them so much. They're so passionate about kazooing. I've been always searching my whole life to find something that I love that much. Still haven't found it yet, but maybe it is kazooing after all. Another example of the type of kid and adult that I wanted to be are these kids.
Hi, my name's Katrina. And my name is Hugh. I'm Sarah. I'm Emma. And I'm Joan to you.
Hello, my name is Spencer. And mine is Lorraine.
I'm Anthony.
I'm Debbie.
And my name is Abby.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna get back out here. Okay, so whenever I was a kid, I think the thing that I was thinking about the most of all was what is wrong with humans. As I grew up and like went through puberty and all of that, I became more and more distanced from humanity and from the rest of humans, especially my age and definitely adults. And so I was noticing that I was getting pushed all of these values and things on me by media, by other people, to be a specific way, and that was not the way that I wanted to be. And it was really hard for me when I was younger because I was not that introspective. I had no idea what was going on, and I was just really sad because I wasn't wanting to be the person that everyone else wanted me to be. And what happened was I was told to wear certain clothes that were in stores. I was told to like certain toys that I didn't want to like, and it left me feeling alone and lonely all the time as a kid. This is what I actually looked like in my day-to-day life. That's me on the right-hand side. This is my family. So as you can see, I had a haircut that was maybe not like all the rest of the girls. I always shopped in the boys section of stores because I like their clothes better. And I always got the boys' toy at McDonald's every time. And because I wasn't interested in the things that were offered to me standard issue, right? So, you know, like looking at this person, let's go deep in here. My poor dad, he's really the one in the middle. It was really hard for me because I got made fun of a lot because of how I looked. I would go into the girls' bathroom and they would scream at me and say, "Oh my gosh, there's a boy in the girls' bathroom." And I would start crying, and it actually really affected me as I was getting older. Of course, obviously it would. And it was really, really confusing for me because I didn't think I was necessarily in the wrong body. I liked what I was given, but I didn't want to be the version of a girl that I had seen ever before. And I think it's different for kids now because we have the internet. They have inspiration and other types of people to look at all day. But whenever I was growing up in suburban Kansas City, there wasn't an example for me to look at. There weren't any other types of girls that were out there. I think my favorite part of this photo is the way that they've placed our hands. Look at my cute little hand. No one puts their hand on an arm like that. So I realized that I wanted to be a girl that just didn't exist in the world, or at least that's what I thought. And that was really, really hard for me as I grew up, and especially whenever I became a tween and a teen. I just naturally became what felt like an outsider. I was still me that I am today. There were things like I wanted to be friends with everyone, but no one was really my best friend because I couldn't find the right group of friends to hang out with. And so it was really hard as I was growing up because I just felt different than everyone else. And nothing changed as I got older and went through high school and as I went through college. So setting a mood with a song. Enjoy it. Close your eyes and get into the song. All right. So as I got older, let's talk about whenever I was in high school, whenever I was in college. Obviously, because I wasn't the version of a girl that everyone wanted me to be, I had body image problems like everyone else does. Haha. All right. So I think my story with body image issues is not different than anyone else's. All right. I hated my body. I didn't look like the people that I was seeing. I didn't look like I was supposed to look. And so it left me like never wanting to look at myself. So I think it wasn't until I had an epiphany a few years ago that I was even able to like look at my body. So I would take a shower or be in front of a mirror and I just wouldn't even look. I wouldn't look at myself because I didn't want to have to see it. And I hear people tell me that all the time, that they feel the same way. And that makes me so sad to look back on that now. But I also would, if I saw a photo taken of me that was from an angle that I had never seen before, I would go, oh my gosh, who is that person? Like you can't even recognize yourself from angles because you're not familiar enough with your body. And so I would constantly see these photos of myself and think, oh, who is that? I don't even recognize that person. That person looks terrible. And that's because I had body image issues. I was also making really sad work whenever I got out of college. I've always been a freelancer because I don't like people telling me what to do. So I've always been a freelancer, and when you're a freelancer who's really self-conscious and has all of these issues with themselves, you end up finding bad work that maybe you don't deserve. So I was doing a lot of brochures, medical company design, things that I was not passionate about, things that were making me really sad in my day-to-day life. I was working with people who didn't like their jobs. So of course they also didn't like working with me because they hated everything about their company. So I was just getting fired a lot as a freelancer, which I haven't had happen in years, but at the time they just hated everything always. And so of course they hated what I made too. So I was getting fired a lot and making really sad, unfulfilling work. And it was giving me anxiety, and it was giving me a lot of, more self-hate, which is no good. I was also, this is my favorite one because I'm so different now, a curated version of myself in real life. So I would do this thing where anytime I would talk to someone, I would rehearse in my head what I was going to say to them before I would say it out loud, which feels weird because I never rehearse my talks. Now I just kind of talk and hope that the right words come out, which is what I'm doing. Because if I rehearse the things I'm about to say, it makes me feel rehearsed and it makes me actually not say the right things. But that's not how I was. I used to think of everything I was going to say in my head before I would say it, and I would try intentionally to be the perfect person, the perfect likable person. So I would try to be a perfect mix of introspective, serious, funny, cute, and all of those qualities that you would describe as a good person is what I was always trying to be. So I would think like, okay, what do I say next? How do I say like the perfect, funny, but also serious thing at the same time? And it left me not speaking hardly at all. So I was really, really shy, and because of it, I was just very quiet, and everyone would always wonder what I was thinking. Whew, all right, I'm gonna lean on here for a little bit. It doesn't look like it's that hard, but just standing is actually the hardest part because you have to like really strengthen everything in your body so that you don't fall over. I think it's just because I'm not wearing enough rubber bands. All right. So I was also, as I got social media, I was also a curated version of myself online. I would like post all of the things that I thought everyone else wanted to see. So I would post the stuff that I thought was important and relevant to other people, which meant just like what I was seeing with everyone else's account. So at the time, I was posting like a lot of interior design photos and coffee photos and things that I was just doing and making because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I wasn't really showing any part of who I actually was online. Whee! I'm gonna bounce now. So I keep bouncing. All right. All right. All right, so I actually, like this never happens to people, and I'm so glad that it happened to me, but I actually had an epiphany one day, and it completely changed my life, which is like, good, I'm so fortunate and privileged and lucky that this happened to me. So the way that it happened was actually through dancing. All right, so I was the kind of person, as you know, who like never came out of my shell, would never do anything that made me uncomfortable because I was so afraid of what everyone else thought of me. I was so afraid of being judged all the time. And that came out with like going to the gym. I would never go to the gym because I thought everyone would be staring at me and judging me. And what is she doing on the treadmill? One time I tried to use one of those treadmills where the legs are treadmilling and then also stepping at the same time. Not an elliptical where it's a treadmill, but what are those called? Does anyone know? It was not stairs. It was an incline. So the treadmill legs were independent of each other and they incline as they move. Price is Right. Anyone? No? No one knows what that is. They probably got rid of them because I went to the gym one time and was like, oh, that looks like fun. And the guy that was on it before me, it totally looked like it was normal and natural. And then I got on it, and I think that I'm 5'2". I think that they were designed for people who are taller or something because my legs don't naturally spread that far apart. So I was like walking like this, and then I fell. I fell on the treadmill, which is everyone's worst fear. I went to the gym one time and fell on the weird treadmill. And so, of course, I always had a gym membership but never went because I was afraid of falling on the treadmill, and then I did, and it was horrible. And of course, people rush up to you and say, are you okay? Even though, of course, you're okay. They just want to make you feel better, but it makes you feel worse. And so I was the same way with everything that I would do fitness-wise. And so I would always have a gym membership but would never go to the gym. And then one day I was like, I see a Zumba class in there. I wonder if that's something that I could maybe do. That looks really hard though. I feel like everyone in that class is going to know what they're doing. And so I decided I'm going to enroll in a Zumba class and see how this goes. And then I didn't go. I enrolled and didn't show up. And then a few weeks passed and I enrolled again and I didn't show up. And then I enrolled again and I didn't show up. And then I did this, I don't even remember how many times, but at least a couple dozen times. Just kept enrolling, not showing up, getting scared, didn't go. And so finally, I don't know what happened to me, but I finally went to my first Zumba class. I walk in and there's all these like sweet old women, and then they looked at me and they were like, oh, you're in the wrong room. And I said, no, I'm here for the Zumba. And they said, oh, honey, this is Zumba Gold. This is for seniors. And then I was like, oh, I thought gold just meant special, or I don't know, better. But then they were so nice and they let me stay, and it was really encouraging. And it was really fun. I had the best time, and I think because I was with those women who were really encouraging and excited and thought it was really funny that I was there, they made me feel even better while I was there, and it was really encouraging and wonderful and amazing. And so that was the gateway into me dancing more, because I realized that I actually really liked dancing. This was finally a form of fitness as well as moon shooting that I really love. And so I went to more and more and more dance classes. I did all kinds of weird, crazy dance classes. I did like burlesque, scarf dancing. I did a lot of trampoline dancing, which is kind of similar to this, but more like club lights and an instructor with a microphone. Kind of like this, really. And I even went to like these wonderful surf classes where there's like this balanced surfboard inside where you like get on the surfboard and dance. Super fun. I went to all kinds of classes, and it made me feel so good and so confident with myself. And so I thought, okay, this is really interesting. I like what's happening here. Maybe I should dance more. Maybe I should actually dance in public, like in front of other people, like at a club or like a party or something. But I didn't know what to do. And I was at a friend's housewarming party, and there was a really great song playing, and I just decided this is the moment I'm gonna dance, and it's gonna be fine. No one's gonna notice. And so I started dancing at this house party, and for some reason I chose a party where no one else was dancing. So I was dancing. God, I don't even, looking back on it, I have no idea what made me do this. So I was dancing like 100%, and and everyone's reaction was like, "Wow, look at you go! Those are great moves. Look at your arms." I've noticed since that I dance mostly with my arms, and as you'll see. Uh, and so again, like the perceived outcome of everyone judging me, it just didn't happen. They were really encouraging and very excited to see me dance. So I thought, okay, the last part of this like exercise in bravery is going to be to dance for the internet, which was really scary for me because I used to write for apartment therapy, and no matter what I would write about on apartment therapy, people would tell me I was a horrible person. So I would just have this casual article about rug trends, and then in the comments people would be like, "Those rugs are garbage, you should die." And so I was really afraid of the internet. I'm still afraid of the internet for that reason. Like, I'm so afraid of commenters. I never look at the comments, or I'll just disable the comments because it's so scary. And people get really personal and feel like they can really attack you very easily because they're a very far distance from you. And so I thought, I'm going to put this dancing video on the internet. Maybe it's going to toughen me up because people are going to tell me they hate me and that I should die and that I'm awful. And I'll go through that experience and then I'll come out of it feeling better. So I'm going to show you the video that I posted online, which I changed the music to make it more dramatic. Thank you. It's really cute to look back on that because I think that was about 4 years ago. And I was in this apartment in Brooklyn, and my cats are all younger. It's real cute. I also learned some things in the process of recording dance videos on a camera for myself, is that I have to be smiling, otherwise it looks weirdly seductive. And the largest gestures as possible are better because it looks better on camera. Because at first I was just like, yeah, okay. And then I was like, that's so boring. So then I used more arms, and that was the secret. It's all in the arms. So I posted this video, and I just like put it all online, and I didn't really have many followers, but I was like, I'm probably gonna go viral, and everyone's gonna hate me because I'm so bad. And I haven't looked at this video in a long time to see how many people have watched it, but like within like the first month, I think I had like 4,000 people look at it, and which it was really scary. And the comments were totally silent. No one said anything. And I was baffled. People were sharing it and saying like, "Oh, look at her go." But no one said anything bad about it. And then that was the moment I was like, okay, all right. And so in that moment, whenever I was able to put this online and have only like pretty good positive feedback and sharing happen, I realized that was the validation I needed to change everything. And so I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I haven't been dancing this whole time because I thought other people would judge me. What else have I not been doing? And that was when I had an epiphany of like, oh my God, I can't believe I've been living my life until now a certain way with this perceived outcome in mind when I could be doing it totally different and totally the way I want to do it. And so that's when everything changed for me. So in the in the process of dancing, what happens whenever you go to any kind of dance class, whether it's a actual dancey dance class or if it's a fitness class, you're always in front of a mirror. And I was the person that never looked at my body before I started dancing. And as I started going to more and more dance classes and filming myself more and more, I got to know my body really well. I got to see my body go in these weird shapes and from weird angles and from every different angle and making every confusing shape possible. And I never knew what I was doing. So I got to watch my body figure things out and improve and get better and struggle and be behind all the time. I'm still, I never want to be a good dancer. That's not my goal. My goal is to just go out there and have fun. And so it was really fun to see myself struggling to keep up, but having a really great time at the same time. And so watching myself go through this process taught me to actually be really comfortable with my body. And I think it's all just because I knew my body by that point. So I was used to seeing it, I was used to looking at it, and I became really proud of it for what it could do. And that changed everything about my body image. To this day, I still if I need comfort, I'll give myself a little rub or a hug, or I'll touch my little areas around my belly and I'll say, oh, you ate so good today, good job. And if I'm on a plane, I'm just you're here with you, this is nice. And I can't even imagine, I would have never even looked at my body, let alone touch these areas before. And the fact that I love it so much, even though it hasn't changed at all, is amazing to me. Ooh, okay. So along with that, something magical happened where I realized that I loved seeing myself looking disgusting. So becoming more familiar with my body meant becoming more familiar with it looking just as bad as it would if it was looking good. And so I started doing this thing on Twitter where I would say okay, whenever you open your phone and it's accidentally on front-facing camera mode and you go, whoa! So I have a whole folder of these where I just take the photo. And I was like, okay, I'll take this photo. So I just take the photo no matter what. And sometimes I'll smile no, I guess I'm not smiling. Sometimes I'll open my mouth, maybe. But normally not. Normally I'll just take the photo. And then I have a Twitter thread where I post them. And I've gotten a lot of people post them back. It's a nice little conversational thread now where people will post their own. And I've really discovered that I love myself when I look really disgusting just as much as I do when I look really great. And so these are some of the ones that I just send people randomly without any sort of comment. I'm really, by this point, I can't find a new angle because I've tried to look more disgusting and I can't figure out how. But it's fun. It is fun to see how my face has changed over the years. I would say this is a span of 3 years-ish. This is a more recent one. You can see I don't know if you can tell, but I've developed a dimple in a place that I didn't have one before, which is pretty cool. Whew. Okay, so in that moment, whenever I had this epiphany about myself, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I could have been doing all these things this whole time. Ugh, I immediately shed who I used to be. I just didn't care anymore. I can't believe I've been doing this to myself this whole time. I deserve better. In the moment, I stopped caring what other people thought of me. I just didn't care anymore. I was people probably aren't thinking what I think they're thinking, so I'm just gonna pretend like they're not even there and just do my own thing. Whew, this is a big one. I realized that I deserve happiness. So, oh my gosh, I've been this boring version of an adult that I didn't want to be this whole time when I could have been really myself and really happy this whole freaking time. What have I been doing? And so in that moment, I was like, I actually deserve to be happy, so I'm gonna do the things that make me happy. And the biggest one, which is some of the exercises that I'll talk to you about that I took afterwards, is that I got really excited about what actually makes me different. So my whole life I'd been hiding the things about myself that made me different than everyone else. And I thought, those things are actually things that no one else has that I have. That's actually a really good thing. Oh my gosh. And I had this wonderful moment when I realized I have these powers inside of me that no one else has, kind of like superpowers. And that's really cool. So I had to take a step back and think oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life and my career? I'm in this place that I never wanted to be when I was a kid. I'm just a boring version of an adult when I could be being a different person than everyone else, and that's actually really special. So I went through a series of exercises, which I'll kind of take you through, and I think it's a good thing for you to also think about these things for yourself if you are in a similar situation to how I was. So I thought, okay, well, what is my life's purpose? I don't have a reason for being on this earth. That's a huge deal. It's really important for us all to think of a reason for living. And I didn't have one of those. I didn't have a reason to wake up every morning until I keep going with my life. And so I thought, okay, well, what is a life's purpose? Okay, I want it to be a sentence or two, not very long. I want it to be something that I can make all my decisions by. So I can say, this client, does it fulfill my life's purpose by working with them? No, it doesn't. Okay, I won't work with them. So anything that I would do in my personal life or career, I would say, does it meet my life's purpose? No. Yes. Then I'll do it. And then I thought, okay, so it's tailored for me based on my unique personality and what I'm good at. So I want it to be special to me, something that's really important that I can fulfill. And then I thought, okay, so it's something that I can also easily fulfill every day so that I can wake up really motivated to actually do this thing, to fulfill this life's purpose. Whew. So it was weirdly around this time that my mom calls me and she said, oh my God, Meg, I know what you are. And I said, okay, what, Mom? And she's like, I think you're a star person. I was just reading this wonderful New Age book, and they taught me about what star people are. And I said, oh, okay, Mom, what are star people? And she started reading off to me the characteristics of a star person. She said, star people, it's a Native American belief that star people are aliens. My mom gave birth to me, first of all, sent to Earth from other planets, and their sole purpose in life is to inject the world with small acts of kindness in order to make the world a happier place. I was like, oh, that's cute. And then she's like, okay, but listen to the characteristics of a star person. And so she starts reading off these characteristics to me. She said, all right. So she said, all right, they have a lower than normal body temperature, which is unusual because I've always had a lower than normal body temperature. It was really hard when I would go to the nurse when I was a kid because my fevers were like average. And does anyone else have lower? Yeah, I'm seeing yes. Okay. It's a thing. Might be a star person. And they're usually female. Great check. They have swollen or painful joints. That is me all the time. They're short. Yes, check, Mom, thanks. And she's like, oh, and they're always creative. When they come to Earth, they're always in a creative profession. And I was like, okay, Mom, that sounds a lot like me, but I'm definitely not an alien. You gave birth to me. This isn't a thing. But I loved what she said about their life's purpose, to inject the world with small acts of kindness to make the world an overall happier place. And I thought, that's the exact purpose that I want to have. Even though I'm not an alien, I want to have my human life's purpose as that. So that's when I said it. I want to make the world a happier place. That is my life's purpose. Whew. So how did I actually put that into action? I changed my career. So right then and there, I was like, oh, here we go. I'm going to stop working for all these companies that aren't fulfilling my purpose by making the world a happier place. And rather than calling myself either a logo designer, product designer, web designer, whatever kind of specialized designer, I said, I'm just going to be a designer that's working for companies that are fulfilling my life's purpose. And I made up a name and called them happy companies. And so from that moment on, I changed all the writing on my website. I changed everything. I removed all the projects that weren't for happy companies. And I said, I am a designer working to make the world a happier place, and I work with happy companies. And what happened in the moment was that I got all of this amazing work. Everyone told me not to do it. They said, don't do that, Meg, because you're going to block out 95% of all potential projects. And I was like, well, I can just change it back if this doesn't work. And what happened was companies saw my website and they saw, oh my gosh, Meg is for us. She's the only designer out there that's speaking directly to us. And so I was getting hired only by the clients I actually wanted to work with that were fulfilling my purpose. And what I noticed is that when I was fulfilling a purpose, a greater purpose for myself, the work I was doing never felt like work because I was actually feeling like I was making the world a happier place. Whew, that was pretty cool. And now that's what I'm still doing, which is great. So the next exercise that I did was to try to figure out what my unique qualities are, what those qualities are about me that are different than anyone else. So those things that maybe people have told me in the past that are different about me that I've tried to hide my whole life because I thought it was a bad thing. I decided to make a list of what those are. But first I had to figure out what are those exactly. So it's a quality of your personality or just a preference that comes naturally to you. So whether that's you're a night owl or you wake up at noon every day and people are always commenting on that and that's not cool. You're always up too late. Why don't you work normal hours? It could be things that you're ashamed of or hiding. Like if you've been ashamed that you wake up at noon every day and so you just don't tell anybody about that, it might be something that makes you different from everybody else, which is pretty cool. Ooh, so again, things that others have pointed out to you. So things that people are like, that's weird about you. Those are not weird things. Those are unusual things, which are actually good things. The things that are not usual about you are what makes you special. Whew, okay, so I started to make a list of my unique qualities and then try to figure out how I can actually put that into my life and my career. So the first one is that I love change. I've never bought the same shampoo twice. I keep moving. I bought a house, but before I bought a house, I had never lived in the same apartment for more than a year. Because I love change. I want to try every city. I want to live everywhere in the world. I just love changing my situation all the time. And people are always like, you need to settle down, or you just like try some consistency for once. But no, that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. And so what I decided to do is instead of calling myself a specific type of designer, before that I was like, okay, I'm either a logo designer or I'm a web designer, because people are always telling me to specialize. That's what everyone always says. I said, no, I'm just going to be a designer, because that way I can change from project to project. I can have that change that I need. So in a given week, I'll be like painting a mural or creating a set of team building exercise or designing a logo, and that way I can have that change and that flexibility that I really need. All right, so another thing that makes me different than everyone else is that I like work-life balance sounds awful to me. Whew, I'm gonna get back out here. So I've never been interested in separating my work from my personal life, because I think that my work should involve my personal life as much as possible. People are constantly like needing that separation between their job that is totally draining and not fulfilling to them. They need a clear line so that they can go home and let it go. And ever since I was a kid, I was not interested in that. That's what my dad had, and it was really hard for all of us. And so I just never wanted that. I wanted to work on my own schedule. I wanted to work with my friends. So a few ways that I changed that, and this is one of our favorite Ghostly Fernsisms, made by my fellow Ghostly Fern, Jen, is that I was interested in making friends with everyone. Always. I've always been interested in making friends with people. And instead of networking, instead of like working as a colleague with people and using those words, I just wanted to work around friends all the time. And I wanted to create a life where I could work with friends all the time. So that's why I started Ghostly Ferns. My best friends and I were working alongside each other in the same space in New York, and we hung out every day anyway. We always shared clients back and forth. We would refer each other. We decided, let's make it official and try to work together as often as possible. So now we're a group of individual freelancers, but we work together like an agency sometimes, which is really great, and that's where we really shine. Ooh, I found this video of what it feels like working together.
The best thing about working with these guys is I love competing with them, and they're my best friends.
The best part performing with these two guys is they keep me in line, and it's a lot of fun.
Describe our act in one word: we're hot.
Ghostly Ferns is more about just getting an opportunity to work with your best friends every day than anything else. It's a thing that we've done for ourselves more so than we've done for other people. We have a line of products that we make just for us. We just make the products we want to own and we want to have and we want to put out into the world, and we don't really, we're not interested in making a full-time job out of having an online store. We just like making stuff together, and this is a great excuse for that. Ooh, one of the Ghostly Ferns people is my husband, Brad. That's our first photo together as a couple back in, we've been together since I was 15. And you can see my beautiful tan line from band camp. That's where we met, at band camp. We both played the trombones, and our slides interlocked, and our spit valves released at the same time. And oh gosh, but no, we were very awkward. But he's one of the Ghostly Ferns. He is a product designer, and I work next to him every day, and I love working with him so much. And I thought that's a really great way to not have a separation between work and life, is having my actual partner work with me every day. And I love him so much, so it's really great to have that opportunity to work with him every day. It's so cool. All right, whew. So then I thought, let me think about some of my values. Like, what do I actually value? What is a value? I always think of like Republican politics when I think of values. Family values. So whenever I thought of like, oh, do I have values? I don't think I have them. I thought, okay, well, what are values? Okay, so they're just things that are important to you. That's it. So like we all have basic values like friends and family, great. So I think a special value is like something that's important to you that's not as important to other people, which I think is great. And that's what makes us special and unique. I think a cool thing about values is that maybe it's something that has been different about you that you've had your whole life. So something that you've always valued throughout your life as long as you can remember, that's just as important to you today as it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. Ooh, okay, so something I value so much is creating communities and safe spaces. I think that it's something I value because I didn't have it when I was a kid. I didn't feel safe at school because I was different and weird and people were mean to me. So it's become really important to me, especially as an adult. And the way that I've counteracted that and used my values in my actual career in life is by creating a shared workspace. It's a very easy way to create a community around you. When I'm a freelancer and everyone else that works in our space is independent, doesn't have an office to go to other than home, it's really nice to have a place where you can go and have friends around you and feel like you're surrounded by a support system and that you have a safe place to go and work and feel really excited to be there. You have people to go get lunch with, people to go get drinks after work with. And so that's why I created this space, was just to have a community for myself, but also for other people. And I know, like, especially Minnesotans, because y'all love your homes so much. It's so, I mean, I also used to work from home and I thought it was normal and I loved working from home. And, but then I wouldn't leave my house for a few days at a time. And then I would have like one thing coming up on my calendar later that month. And I would be like, oh my gosh, that thing's 3 weeks away. Okay, it's a week away. All right. Oh, it's tomorrow. And then, oh gosh, that thing is tonight finally. Okay, here we go. Let me take a shower. And then I would just not go last minute because I was so anxious with that anticipation of that thing. That is what my life was like working at home. And so I joined a different shared workspace when I was in New York, and that's where everything changed for me. I actually worked next to the people that own and run CreativeMornings, which is a cute little side story, at the shared workspace that I worked at. And so it's really important to me to go out and get out every day. Otherwise, I'll just be a hermit. All right, so that's also why I started the Buddy League, because I moved here and didn't have a community. I didn't have a space and a support group of people to where I could feel like I could be myself around them. And I actually used to say things like, I love Minnesota so much, but it won't love me back. And now look at this. It's like amazing to see how much has changed for me in just a few months. And I think it's all because I really fought really hard for it. I fought really hard to create communities and create communities for myself, but also allow other people in to my spaces that I was making for others. I also like allowing others to be themselves. So I found this wonderful thing for myself, but I also like inspiring and like getting people excited to also be themselves too. And a couple ways that I've been able to do that is through social media. That's a really easy one. I use my social media as a way for people to comment and share about themselves. So I'm not really interested in getting reposts or like followers. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is that I'm allowing people to be themselves in the space that I'm creating for them. So whether it's sharing things that you're struggling with or whether it's giving compliments to people, I just want people to feel safe in the environment online that I'm creating. Another way is through conversation starters. At Ghostly Ferns, we have a product that is my passion project that I didn't really think anybody would buy, and then some people bought it. It's a deck of conversation starters. I found that a really great way for people to rapidly open up about themselves is through asking them questions that are not small talk. So rather than asking people like, ooh, it's getting a little warm, ooh, I say, hey, have you ever pooped with a backpack on? And asking people questions that are out of the ordinary like that really cuts deep into their core faster than talking to them about the weather. I've asked like hundreds of people that question over the years, and never has anyone looked uncomfortable. Everyone knows the answer and is ready to talk about it. I recommend using that. So I started this product called Oversharing, which is a pack of conversation starters. And here's our little ad for them.
Mostly burns. How would you torture the person asking this question with a single grape?
Oh, first I'd take the grape, then I'd until you were down, and then I'd twice.
Okay, well, those are also not even available anymore, so sorry, you can't have them. I shouldn't have shown that video. Okay, we are like already running out of time, so I'm just gonna speed right through this. People like rules. I don't like rules. I don't like goals. I don't like knowing what's coming in my future. But I talk about this because I know everyone else loves rules and everybody else loves guidelines. So I wanted you all to know what these things are that I loosely set for myself. I never like to follow rules or guidelines, but I like to set them for myself just as a place to kind of casually glance every so often. So the first thing is that I have to remember, this is something I remind myself every day when I wake up, is that the more I'm me every day, online, offline, with my clients, with my friends and family, the more opportunities I get. And this is so true. The more dumb dancing videos I post on my Instagram, the more clients message me on Instagram and ask me to do work for them. I get a lot of people that say, we love your personality, we want you to bring that into our brand, which I never saw coming, and it's amazing. And so I always have to remind myself of that. Whew. Okay, so I actually made a list of like, what are the 5 categories in this world and messages that I want to show other people, and this was really helpful for creating social media guidelines for myself. So I said, okay, I want to show people what I'm inspired by, whether usually it's 90s pop culture stuff like Pee-wee's and Mr. Bean videos, but I want to show that to people. I want to challenge people with questions about themselves that they can answer. I want to show my weird self off as often as possible. I want to do challenging essays of things that I'm thinking about. And I want to do self-love posts and celebration posts about myself to be really excited and show people how excited I am about me. And then I did that. Whew, look at that. I dedicated a day to each of those categories. Wow, easy. This is a great social media tactic for any of you who have your own personal or brand accounts. 5 categories of messages you want to communicate and assign them to a day. I never follow that because I'm horrible at rules. I wake up every day, I'm like, I feel like just eating nachos today, so then I just don't post anything because I'm so into my nachos. That's normally what happens, but I created this as a loose guideline. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm lightly following this, maybe sometimes. Okay, so I realized, I actually get a lot of anxiety and sadness whenever I don't do the activities that make me whole. I realized that something I need to do is to walk with a purpose, which I can't really do that well here because I live in South Minneapolis. People go for walks all the time in South Minneapolis. That's why I chose it. Lakes, it's beautiful, it's charming, it's amazing. And then I realized, oh, I don't like just going for walks. People in my neighborhood, they're like, I'm gonna go for a walk. Would you like to come with me? I always say, where are we going? And they're like, to the lake. And then what? Sandcastle? Like, are we gonna go have a drink? And they're like, no, we'll just walk around the lake until we get tired. That sounds awful to me. I like to walk with a purpose. I like to walk to go do something, like walk to get nachos. That's an activity that I need to make me feel whole. I don't like just walking aimlessly. It doesn't work for me. I like to dance. I need to dance or else I get sad, and I need to remember to do that. I like to travel by myself. I travel by myself all the time. It's a way for me to get to know myself really well. I like to travel to places I've never been and do things that are a little scary so I can go through that experience alone, and if I don't do that for a while, it makes me sad. I like hanging out. I'm a huge fan of hanging out with people. I feel like that's probably how I'll die someday is by just hanging out too much. I'm always the last one at parties because I just need to hang out with people more. And I've never been able to leave early. I'm horrible at that because I love hanging out. And I love spending time by myself. I'm an extrovert, but I love being with myself more than I love being with anyone else. I love hanging out with myself because I let me do anything I want. So I need that to feel whole, and that's something, all of these things, if I don't do any of them, it gives me anxiety and it makes me sad, and it took me a long time to realize that this is what I need to be happy. Okay, I'm going so fast. Whew. So I decided, what are 5 things to fulfill my life's purpose, to show off my unique qualities and everything that makes me special? What do I need to start doing on social media from now on? This is an exercise I recommend to all of you. I want to be as goofy as possible, very important. Obviously, I'm starting to do that more and more. I want to create a safe space for others to be themselves. I want to represent all the aspects of my life, whether they're good or bad. If I had a bad plate of nachos, I should probably share those as much as the good ones. I want to challenge the audience with thoughtful essays and exercises. That's really important to me, is to get people involved in what I'm doing. And it's really important to me to cheer on other people, to support others as much as I'm supporting myself. Ooh, the 5 things I want to stop doing, also important, because we're all doing things on our social media that are not helping push our message and push who we actually are. The things for me is I need to stop caring what others think about me. I still do that. I still post things and think in the back of my head, oh, my in-laws are following me. think things like that all the time, but I just gotta push past it and post it anyway. Ooh, posting before I enjoy the in real life experience. That's a big one. It's like, okay, there's a great sunset over there. Let's not just get my phone out and take a picture of the sunset and then go back to my desk. Let me actually look at the sunset and enjoy it, have a moment with the sunset before I post about it. Novel idea. So I need to remember to do that more often. Only showing the shiny, perfect parts of my life. I think we're all guilty of doing that, and me especially. I need to stop doing that, and I have to remind myself that every day. I also am guilty of only showing what's emotionally easier. Sometimes I feel like a lot of anxiety and don't want to get out of bed, and I have to remember, no, maybe this is an actual opportunity where I can use this to help other people. And then I'm always guilty of only showing what's faster to create. So like if I'm creating a post, it's like, maybe this one's easier, so I'll just do this one today. I do that all the time. But actually taking the time to make things that are quality to help push my message further is important. Whee! Okay. Things I want to start doing from now on in my real life. This one's good because think about in like personal relationships, friends and family, that lot. I want to be more compassionate and caring and kind. Easy. Take time out of my day to make others happier. So like actually go out of my way to help people, to like, oh, they are out of water at their desk. Let me go get them some. Oh, get out and stop being lazy. I'm definitely that person where if I go home before going out, I'm not going out again. I'll just stay at home. I gotta maybe stop doing that. I actually have to do the things that make me whole, or otherwise I'll get sad and anxious. And then again, I need to cheer on my peers. I need to cheer on the people physically that are around me and make sure that they feel supported and excited. All right, if you have to go to work, just go. I'm almost done, I promise. 5 things that I want to stop doing in my real life interactions. Definitely avoiding small moments when I can help others. There's this specific memory I have, and it plagues me every day. When I was living in New York, there was this comical scene of this man carrying a lot of mail, and then he fumbles all the mail, and the mail goes flying in the air and into the street and everywhere, and I was just walking fast, probably going nowhere. Who knows where I was going, probably to get nachos, wearing my earbuds, and I saw him, and I was like, I should help him, and I kept walking. I just thought, I should help him, and then I just never even really thought, like, oh, stop and help him. And so that still, I think about that constantly, and that was like 6 years ago or something ridiculous. So I need to stop avoiding those moments. I need to stop looking at my phone so often to where it affects my relationships. Brad and I have this thing where we look at our phones in bed every night before we go to sleep until one of us just falls asleep, or I drop my phone on my face and I pass out. And so I need to stop doing things like that. Oh my gosh. This one is so sad, but it's so true. We all hurt people that we love. Like, you know, like whenever you're in a loving relationship with someone, you feel like you can really be yourselves around them, and then you become an internet commenter around the person that you love. Because you're just like, what are you wearing today? That looks awful. Like, oh, you have holes in your shoes? Like, throw those away. And that's so mean. So I have to stop doing that to people. I have to stop feeling responsible for everyone's happiness. This is just a unique part of my personality to where I glob onto others and help them like unnecessarily too much. If someone's looking for a job, I'll normally my inclination would to be like, okay, let's help you with your resume. Let's email everyone we know. And then I actually always feel responsible for being the one that gets them the job. And this is something that just this year I've had to be like, okay, you gotta stop doing that. You can help them, but don't help them too much. Like, stop feeling so responsible because you're not making any money because you're spending your full-time job just helping other people get jobs. Oh, and yeah, I gotta stop doing things that trigger my anxiety. Okay, that one sounds easy in theory, but it's not. All right, because I'm just here to make the world a happier place, and I have to remember that every decision that I make, everything I do in my career and my personal life is fulfilling that life's purpose. Ooh, so normally I give talks and I talk about myself, which I hate talking about myself, and then I do it in my talks because I don't like telling people what to do. I hate telling people how to live their lives, and I think I just noticed a band broke. I think there's too much of people telling each other how to live their lives and what to do all the time. Everything we ingest is about tips and like how to be better and coming from other people, when I think it should be coming from yourself. So I usually tell my own story in hopes that people maybe get something out of it, but if not, then it doesn't matter because it's not necessarily me telling you what to do. But with that said, I'm gonna start telling people what to do. I'm working on a class right now called Full-Time You, and in that class, I'm going to teach everyone how to do exactly what I did, which is figure out what makes you special and unique and actually create a career for yourself that is fulfilling a life's purpose for yourself, but also making you whole, making you fulfilled, and taking all the special parts about you and creating a special career just for you. So that's coming out, I would say, in the next 4 to 6 weeks. If you're interested in learning more, I have my first ever mailing list, which I've never sent an email to, so I probably won't bother you. I'll probably forget. Who knows? But sign up for my mailing list that I will hopefully be using, and I will give you a promo code and stuff. Oh my gosh. That's it. Thank you.